So what's that you got there?
Just me reading this interesting article in this interesting magazine. It's a Van Hunt article.
Van Hunt, we done a review about him yet?
Honestly, no, we haven't done one. I thought we were doing a review today of the Lil Mama video, work video.
No. Music. Let's talk about it, people. Once again, you are watching Musicaplenty. Here we talk about our favorite artist album reviews and how they might have influenced you, me, everybody, really. Let's get to it.
Yes, today we were talking about the this wonderful musician, needed person in the music industry. To be honest with you, one of my personal favorites. He is a singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, multi-instrumentalist, a guy by the name of Van Hunt. And we will be talking about his debut album today.
Released 2006 on Capitol Records.
Actually released 2004. Released 2004. He's been working on it since 2000, and there are of course demos of it since 2000, and a little bit before his official signing to Capitol Records. It's been a very nice bit of modern soul, and I think to a certain degree kind of influential for some of these new soul aficionados coming out right now.
This album was recorded almost anywhere and everywhere, it looked like. It looks like it was recorded in Memphis, at the House of Blues,
yes,
in Nashville. Yep. It's quite interesting, like read them liner notes.
Yes. Also, let's get into the musician. Van Hunt, born March 8th, 1970. He was originally out of Dayton, Ohio, which back in the 1970s it was
brain ground.
Crazy. It was absolutely crazy for a lot of funk and soul groups that were coming out. We're not even going to get into all the people.
We'll save that for another one.
We'll save that for another one. Yeah, we'll save that for another one. He came out of that particular environment. Going to college years, he relocated to Atlanta to go to school, of course. He went to Morehouse. English major, I found out. After that, dropped out and decided to pursue his music. This of course led to a lot of collaborations and a lot of connects. Everybody from Dallas Austin, TLC, Randy Jackson of American Idol fame, who manages him to this day. A lot of crossbreeding as far as musicians, as far as producers, that led him to his eventual deal. His music and his songwriting capabilities was also lended to other prominent and up-and-coming artists such as Dion Ferris and Cree Summer. You probably already know Freddie from A Different World. Yes, she did have an album out.
And it was good.
It was good. Some of the songs were co-written by Van. More on that later. Very talented person. His influences are very apparent to me, listening to it for the first time. Influences such as Sly Stone, Bobby Womack, Johnny Taylor, the Beatles.
Definitely
Zeppelin.
the Beatles.
Yeah, and a myriad of 70s rock and soul acts.
The cool thing is that not only can you pinpoint how and where he might have been influenced listening to that whole album, he makes all of those different influences and sounds his own.
His own, yeah, most definitely. And I think a lot of artists can take note from that. He definitely tends to homogenize everything into his own unique brew and his own unique blend. So let's get into this album.
I feel like we kind of got a format going here.
So we're going to get right into this album. Yeah, so track 1, Dust. Your thoughts on that?
Stellar introductory track. Sets up the sound, the style, and the tone of the album.
And it's refreshingly coming from a sort of left field, especially from the time that this album was released. Even up to now, for the average person or the average listener, kind of puts your head in this interesting loop to hear a black artist add in these deliberate and very apparent rock elements, which attitudes like that, I think that really needs to begin to change. Right now, people need to really understand that, you know, there's no little cookie cutter way to get black, quote unquote, black music out there. Van is a living testament to that. Like I said, just listen to some of the singles off of this one album. I mean, we can even go into, you know, into his albums after that, like On the Jungle Floor and the unreleased unreleased album that he did with Blue Note, sorry.
Oh, that's right.
And a lot of his latest release that was released last year, The Fun Rises and the Fun Sets, he constantly defies the expectations when it comes to a soul artist, when it comes to a black artist.
Seconds of Pleasure?
Seconds of Pleasure is another favorite of mine.
Yeah, what was it I didn't really think about it until you told me about this the last time we actually listened to that song in full. It's like the greatest Bobby Womack song.
Greatest song that Bobby Womack never sung. It really is. And for all my music theory people, the song is in B minor. And to me, that is Bobby's go-to key, his signature key when writing songs. Because a lot of his memorable hits were in B minor, you know. So check Bobby's hits, you'll get it. Gritty, bluesy, it's a slow drag song. It goes back to that African American musical source. It goes back to the blues, goes back to this rock, you know, it goes into this early rock thing. Like I said, very bluesy, and Van adds this sort of glossy but still gritty soul thing to it. One of my favorite songs on this whole album. Hello Goodbye. You start off on that one. What do you think about it?
It's got a weird, I would say, tempo to it. It goes like your traditional 2 and 4, and then it drags, and then it picks up. It goes back and forth.
Okay, I see what you mean. But yeah, Hello Goodbye is another good song. I'm not sure if it was a single or not, but I think it would have worked as a single had it been released that way. Lyrically, it talks of the highs and lows of love and highs and lows of a relationship. It's basically bipolar love. It might have been rooted in some real life bipolar love or something like that in Van's life. I could get into a little bit of that, but yeah, restraining orders were definitely written. But anyway, lyrically, it is about the highs and lows of love and how your so-called other half does or does not please you, you know, in said relationship.
It's that real.
Yeah. Production-wise, it definitely expands on the legacy of Bobby Womack, because I could definitely hear him interpret this song and just kill it. It also, with this bouncing bass and this funk groove, it definitely harkens back to Sly Stone.
Brothers Johnson.
Yeah,
can't forget them
Brothers Johnson as well. Albums like that. Definitely within that sort of there's a riot going on feel. Like I said, I think Van definitely listened to a lot of that growing up, and you know, just listening to it and soaking it all in.
I think my favorite Van Hunt song, and probably the first one I ever heard from him, was Down Here.
That was mine too.
And that's the one that actually piqued my interest.
Yeah, how'd you get into that particular song?
I think my dad managed to snag himself a copy of the first album.
Okay,
and that was one of the songs he was playing.
Okay.
And I was like, how in the world have I never heard this guy before?
Down Here in Hell. I saw the music video for that too. First time I heard it. It was around 2007. It was on this channel that no longer exists. Channel Centric absorbed it. It was this channel called BET Jazz, and that was one of the videos, Down Here in Hell. Loved the video, and I loved the song even more. And I was just sold. That was my introduction to Van Hunt. But yeah, Down Here in Hell, it was definitely a single because it definitely had a video. And once again, he is good at taking a lot of these references from the past, particularly the 70s, and looking forward at the same time and just mixing it up and making it his own. Like we mentioned earlier, this is definitely an example. It's definitely this nice little patch of sunny, mellow, smooth, psychedelic, a little bit of psychedelic rock in there with that sort of like flat driveway or flat street soul to it. It definitely works as a single, and it definitely works as a signature song.
What can I say for Millicent? That's
Beatles influence.
Yeah.
That's
really,
yeah. We can tell that he likes, he really likes what the Beatles threw down.
Yeah, you can definitely imagine hearing McCartney and Lennon over that.
Yeah.
It's unmistakable.
Yeah, McCartney especially. and hearing that fusion, that voice, that fused voice, or that blend, vocal blend that the Beatles had over that, yeah, along with string arrangements that are in that would definitely work.
Very beautiful piano German ballad. Ooh. Anything to get your attention that is straight through and through. Sly. Like I hear Sly and the Family Stone all over.
Sly's, yeah, I hear Sly in that. I take that back. I honestly take that back. With anything to get your attention, Sly is a presence, but I hear two other people besides Sly. Johnny Taylor, who I mentioned earlier, as an influence on Van. I hear him delivering that well. He has this sort of smooth, sort of player-friendly production to it, which I really appreciate. Raphael Sadiq too could kill this song, most definitely, or Tony, whichever incarnation you want. But yeah, that sort of sleek, player-friendly production to that, and this soulful, near crooning that Van does on the song. It's
real bitter.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah, and so
the bass is killer.
Yeah, bass on there is wonderful. Filters that are used on the bass too, I appreciate that too. It just makes it all the more soulful and funky.
Ooh, highlights. What about highlights?
Track 7, Highlights. Now that one is Sly all day. He doesn't use the actual Rhythm King drum machine from back in the day.
But it sounds like
it. But how it's programmed with whatever software he's using to create the track. He programs it to, to obviously mimic or emulate that Rhythm King sound. I even like the little record scratch that he has on it to, just make it more weird sounding. And again, much more syncopated. Highlights is bitter as well. Love the puns and little lyrical points to movies, movie critics and stuff like that to relate to the relationship that's going on in the song. Love the key. Love the feel of it. Love the funk of it. It's, pun intended, is a highlight. Is another highlight on this album. It definitely works. Your take on it?
You pretty much took everything that I thought about that album. I would have been a creative video concept.
Yeah.
I definitely feel you on that one.
Precious, wonderful ballad.
Another really good ballad.
It's another one that definitely works for 70s or late 70s FM radio. He just does it in this, post-millennial way. Kind of reminds me of something that Terence Trent D'Arby would have done sometime in his career. This was after his introductory album and the sophomore follow-up, Not a Fish, No Flesh. Kind of sounded like something that Terence probably would have done either on like Symphony or Damn. Or,
can we even call him Terence anymore?
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you're watching, sorry. There has been a name change since, which I knew. I'm sorry. Out of respect, Sananda Maitreya. Albums such as Symphony or Damn or Vibrator or albums like that.
Her December.
Interesting. This is definitely one of my favorites, but I find it interesting because it kind of comes in two tones, but they work. The first tone comes at the vamp of the song at the beginning of the song, and it definitely has this airy, orchestral, smoothed out, again kind of this sort of pimpish friendly or player friendly, very soul aficionado thing. But at the same time, it goes into the second tone that is this Latin tinged samba rhythm. Interestingly enough, first time I heard it, I immediately went to D'Angelo's Voodoo album, and I thought a Spanish joint. A lot of these soul artists that includes Van Hunt, especially around the late 90s and early 2000s, I can just imagine how many people were influenced by this sort of, what I like to call this first movement of neo-soul. I think Van was definitely influenced a little bit by D'Angelo.
Were.
Yeah.
Truth be told. I'm not even going to get into how R. Kelly was really big on neo-soul.
Most definitely.
He won't say that. But we know.
But we know. I just find all of that very interesting, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of these artists that came in the second wave were definitely influenced by artists of the first wave. First wave of neo-soul being this amalgamation of artists. Most of them were a part of the whole Soulquarians movement, which include D'Angelo, Erykah Badu, Common, Bilal, people like that, even artists like Maxwell, and everybody in that sort of first wave. And then second wave included Van Hunt, Raheem DeVaughn, Lettucey, Jill Scott, and Chrisette Michele, and Kim as well. It's just interesting to see this sort of evolution go. And it's interesting and very comfortable to see this tradition of soul music carry on into the new millennium. Somebody's got to do it.
True.
Hold My Hand is another highlight of this, because I think that one, your take on that?
I feel like this is the second song that has a touch of the Fab Four influence. Just the itty bitty little touch.
Okay. But once again, expanding on Van's love of the Beatles and just these sort of unconventional points of reference and influence for a R&B act / a soul act around the late 90s and early 2000s.
Ooh, Who Will Love Me in Winter.
I think that one was probably influenced by House of Blues, which again is where part of this album was recorded. It's Memphis soul in it, and just a little bit of Van's own personal touch in it as well.
Yeah, definitely some down-home grit.
Yeah, definitely gritty and a little bluesy in it too. Kind of dark, kind of sort of liquory.
Expanding that horizon.
Yeah, it just expands that horizon, and this album, with all 12 tracks, once again, it just stands as this point of reference to the new generation, and this point of reference to a lot of these new school acts. Artists like that are very much needed, who just take the blinders off and forces you to take the blinders off as well as a listener.
Out of the Sky, that's definitely got some George on it.
Yeah,
Undeniably has some George on it.
And a little bit at the end, it changes once again with this two-tone song. It starts out with this sort of like P-funkish thing, and then it changes.
Like almost, not even almost, it's in very much the same key as One Nation.
Yeah, it changes to Stevie at the very end.
At the drop of a hat.
Which I think Stevie, to a lot of these first wave and second wave people, even up to now, Stevie still plays a universal influence, so I didn't even mention him at the beginning, but you know. So now we have come to the part of the video where we wind up judging this. What is your take? What is your judging?
I give it that certified fresh or certified ill, either
Certified
or.
fresh, and that makes two of us, because I give this a certified ill. It is a slightly slept on album from a very slept on artist. If Van is playing in your area, go see him. Support real music, support your artists. They need your support. Also, he is independent now and has been for quite a few years. Support your independent artists. They need it. If he is unfortunately not, i.e. here in Memphis, where we would love to see him, we just go on YouTube. If he's not in your area, go on YouTube, do your research. Very talented dude. And
he deserves to be in rotation. At least
he deserves to be. Yes, he deserves to be in rotation. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for your continued views. If you like what you are seeing,
go ahead and comment. And
comments are right here below.
And about them.
Disagree, agree with any of our points. Let's hear it. We would love to hear your take on everything.
We'd also love to hear any suggestions you might have.
Any suggestions, reviews? Yes. That's all I got. That's all he got.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. I'm still mad.